big raise.
Live from WVIT, this is Connecticut News Tonight.
Devastation and at least one fatality attributed to storms that swept throughout Connecticut today, spawning tornadoes, hail, and torrential rains. Good evening, I'm Anthony Everett, live in Waterbury, one of the area's hardest hit by a vicious storm that swept throughout Connecticut today. And we're going to tell you about the path that it took through the state in just a minute. But first, our lead story tonight, at least one fatality attributed to that storm. A 14-year-old girl was killed by a falling tree in Black Rock Park in Thomaston today. Thousands of trees fell throughout the state, just snapped in two by the force of tornadoes and high winds spawned by this storm. Let us take you through the path of the storm as it came through Connecticut. It first came into the state in Sharon, Connecticut. There, 3 homes were set fire by lightning. Then it moved on to Litchfield. Golf ball size hail was reported there. Damaging winds reported there in Litchfield as well. From there, it moved on to Bantam. A Methodist church was destroyed there. And then in Watertown, golf ball size hail was reported. Significant damage in Watertown from both high winds and from that hail. Then it moved into Waterbury, one of the areas hardest hit by this storm. In fact, just a short time ago, the mayor of Waterbury imposed a 10 o'clock curfew on the town, trying to get curiosity seekers off the street. We just came a short time ago from the Green in New Haven. It is literally devastated. The mayor has also said that at least 10, perhaps more $1 million worth of damage has been done by this storm. They have set up shelters in area schools and in area churches for what we understand are perhaps thousands of people that were left homeless as the storm swept through Waterbury. Now, we talked with a lot of people today about this storm, and what everybody seemed to be surprised about was the alarming quickness with which it came through the state. The damage was localized but devastating.
Staff who are available to help us handle the emergency.
Now, in addition to the physical damage to buildings, there were power outages across the state. At its most, we understand that perhaps 87,000 homes were without power, 64,000 from Northeast Utilities and 23,000 from United Illuminating. The lack of power also made for problems in local traffic because traffic lights were out. Driving, therefore, has been very hazardous, not only in local areas, but also on the highways where some of the street lamps are out as well. In fact, in Watertown tonight, a number of roads are closed. We'll give you the numbers of those. Route 63, Route 6, and Route 73 in Watertown all closed tonight as a result of the storm that swept through here. So as you can see, the storm caused a wide variety of problems. Cheryl Gray reports on some of the other devastation caused by the storm.
The storm left its mark on virtually everything in its path. In Watertown, I'm Cheryl Gray, Connecticut News Tonight.
Now, power is still out in Waterbury. We're standing at the Red Bull Inn, and as you can see or not see behind me, there is no power here whatsoever. After Waterbury, the storm continued to move further south into the Hamden and New Haven area, and with more on the devastation in Hamden, we go live to Tom Monahan there. Tom?
This is what you see behind me pretty much throughout all parts of Hamden tonight. Trees down, power lines down, and that's not the entire story either, because Hamden's certainly one of the hardest hit parts of the state of Connecticut in terms of this devastating tornado. Businesses wiped out, homes destroyed, but miraculously it appears right now no one has been killed. The people here say they've never seen anything like it. Their stories are filled with shock and fear. At the same time, the residents of this area are in awe of the fact that apparently no one has been killed. But what you're about to see in here tells the story of what happened sometime around 5:30 late this afternoon in an area around Putnam, Whitney, and Dixwell Avenues in Hamden. As best they can, they tell the story of a tornado crashing down on them.
The lights went out, and I had the baby in the crib sleeping, and all of a sudden, the window blew in the baby's room, and the door shut, and I couldn't get in the baby's room to grab the baby. Finally, the wind stopped. I grabbed the baby, went in the basement, and it was just thundering and lightning, and I got so scared. We ran out in the middle of all our trees were in front of our house, and everything, the windows were broken. I couldn't even say what happened.
Then we decided to come down Newhall Street, and then rain just started pouring, and the wind just blew us over, and lightning and trees was falling everywhere, and the people that was behind us just slid over, on the side over here like that. We was really horrified. We was scared. We were so scared.
My car's down the road. I leave it there overnight, but the tree was on it.
So how did you find them in there?
They were yelling. Right back of that tree, they were yelling. And right over here, underneath the basement, there were 3 guys. They climbed out, and the women over there, they went to my house over there. Everybody came to my house because we had just got home.
Power has been knocked out and people are being evacuated. The work of the police and fire departments is still not complete. What's your concern right now?
Right now is to see if anyone is trapped in any of the buildings and get aid to them and get them out.
Hey, here! Come on, out of there!
But miraculously,
so far we don't have any reports of fatalities. We do have a number of injuries. Looks like bumps and bruises and lacerations.
people down here are pretty much still in shock as to what happened today. It happened so quickly they're not sure exactly what did take place. But they're standing by, they're waiting, and they're going to see what tomorrow brings. In terms of the situation in New Haven, Toby Moffat. Toby?
Yes, Tom. We're live here in New Haven, and actually, of course, the town boundaries meant nothing. The storm that Tom just reported on kept coming right down Whitney Avenue, particularly into New Haven, and of course it came down Route 69 and 63 from Waterbury right into New Haven, and it did an enormous amount of damage. Now, in what's called the Elm City, it was not just the elms, but every conceivable kind of tree that seemed to come down tonight. And these were trees that ripped off roofs of homes and apartment buildings, crushed cars like soda cans along the way, and trees that took down wires, lots of wires. Some of those wires still live wires at this hour, and that's a big concern in the city. And the wind that brought those trees down did plenty of other damage on its own, like blowing out the windows at Clinton's Music Store on Whitney Avenue.
Tremendous rain and wind was rocking the car. After a few minutes, when a few trees fell, we decided to leave and went around the front of the store and saw all the windows smashed in and the glass on the instruments and rain all throughout the store.
Now, that wasn't the only damage. We saw windows blown out all along Whitney Avenue. Now, fortunately, most of the damage was to property, although an awful lot of people said that they got the scare of their lives. Now, they're saying in New Haven that this is much worse than Hurricane Gloria in terms of damage. They're also, I spoke to the mayor, and he said that they have no way of knowing what the damage is, and they think there'll be a lot of structural damage. And by the way, one policeman told me that there are some assault victims that are not getting ambulances to them because trees are down, so we'll have more on that. And we go to Brad now.
Toby, these reports are...
A shock for parts of Connecticut tonight, with the likes of weather we seldom see here in Connecticut, covering a wide area from Litchfield to New Haven and including Waterbury, where Anthony Everett is standing by live to recap some of the night's damage and destruction. Anthony?
Thank you, Joanne. At least one fatality, a 14-year-old girl that was hit by a tree tonight. Also dozens of injuries and untold property damage from this vicious storm that really shocked Connecticut today, swept through from the northwest corner and down through Hamden and New Haven. You are looking now at pictures from Hamden. That is one of the areas most hardest hit. Also, New Haven and Waterbury were struck very hard today. There are power outages in all of those areas. We understand as many as 87,000 homes were without power, and crews are trying to restore power in various areas tonight. Many people are also homeless. Shelters, I know, have been set up in Waterbury, also in Hamden, to try and take care of those people that are homeless from the storm. Millions of dollars in property damage. It'll be probably weeks before we know exactly how much damage was done. And, of course, there's no telling how long it's going to take to clear all this up. It could be months or even longer before all the trees are gone, all the power is restored, and everything is back to as much normal as we can possibly get back to. We'll begin full reports beginning at 7:25 tomorrow morning on Connecticut News This Morning to try and bring you updated as to how power is being restored and how the cleanup effort is going. For now, reporting live from Waterbury, I'm Anthony Everett. Now back to Joanne in the studio.
Anthony, let me ask you about the curfew that the mayor of Waterbury imposed. You said earlier it was because of a lot of sightseers and curiosity seekers coming around. Did you notice any of them? Were there a lot of people trying to converge on the area?
Absolutely. In fact, at that elderly home that we told you about before that had to be evacuated, a lot of people were sort of milling around, and I think the mayor just wanted to clear the streets. In Waterbury Green, where the church steeple had fallen over, a lot of people were actually grabbing pieces of the rock and I think trying to grab pieces of mementos of the storm, and I think to curtail any possible looting. We also heard there might have been some assaults where there were power outages. The mayor wanted to get people off the street, and he had imposed a 10 p.m. curfew, but we don't know how effective that has been yet.
All right, Anthony, thanks, and we'll see what the morning light will have to bring. That's Connecticut News Tonight. Thanks for joining us. For Anthony Everett, Tom Monahan, and Toby Moffat in the field, and Brad and Beasley here, I'm Joanne.